Hey, this is really good. Hello. Shh. Quiet, please. Thank you for being quiet, class. So, hello, class. Welcome to this week's filmmaking lesson. So today, I might not be here at Lowe's College. I will be here at Disney's Hollywood Studios to get our restaurant ready, and then we'll go to and then we'll be at shopping too. All right. So first, we will be doing home video releases. On today, we will be doing Dead Again, 1991 film. Here's a plot to this film. Newspapers detail in the 1949 murder of Margaret Strauss, who was stabbed during a robbery. Her anklet is missing. Her husband, composer Roman Strauss, is found guilty of the crime and condemned to death. Before his execution, Roman is visited by reporter Garrett Gray Baker. Asked if he killed Margaret, Roman appears to whisper something in Baker's ear. Baker does not disclose Roman's answer. 40 years later, private detective Mike Church investigates the identity of a woman who has appeared at the orphanage where he grew up. She has amnesia, cannot speak, and has nightmares. Mike takes her in and asks of his friend Pete Dugan to publish her picture and his contact info. Antiques dealer and hypnotist Franklin Madsen approaches Mike, suggesting hypnosis may help her recover her memory. When the session is unsuccessful, Madsen suggests they experiment with past life regression. Mike is skeptical, but the woman details Margaret and Roman's lives in third person, from courtship to their wedding. When the session ends, she can speak but still has amnesia. Madsen shows them Life magazine articles covering the murder. Mike and the woman bear a striking resemblance to Roman and Margaret. Mike visits former psychiatrist Cozy Carlisle, who insists they continue to see Madsen delving into the problems between Margaret and Roman may resolve her amnesia. Mike nicknames the woman Grace and falls in love with her. A man named Doug appears and claims she is his fiancée, Catherine, but Mike discovers he is lying and chases him off. Hypnotized, Grace remembers that Roman suffered from writer's block in his throat. He believes that Margaret is flirting with Baker. When she met on their wedding day, Margaret cannot convince him she is faithful and catches Frankie, the son of their housekeeper, Inga. Looking through her jewelry box, she asks Roman to dismiss Inga, but Roman refuses, saying that Inga saved his life in Nazi Germany. Grace sees Mike standing over Margaret with scissors and is convinced he intends to kill her. Mike insists that he would never hurt her, but when he accidentally calls her Margaret, he agrees to let Madsen regress him. During his regression, he realizes that he was Margaret and Grace was actually Roman, but is unable to tell Madsen or Grace about his revelation. Pete Dugan tells Mike that he has identified Grace as artist Amanda Sharp. Amanda Grace, still afraid of Mike, accompanies Dugan and Madsen to her apartment. Her artwork focuses on scissors. Madsen gives her a gun for Mike. Mike visits Gray Baker in his nursing home and asks him about Roman's secret. but Baker insists that Roman said nothing to him. Baker is convinced that Roman did not kill his wife and suggests Mike and find Inga, who would know what happened. Mike realizes that Madsen is Frankie. He questions Minga, who explains that she declared her love to Roman, but he rebuffed her. Frankie blamed Margaret for his mother's unhappiness and killed her with scissors, then stole her anklet. Roman later was found covered in his wife's blood and holding the murder weapon. After Roman's execution, Inga took Frankie to London, where he learned about hypnotherapy and past life regression. After returning to LA, Frankie was convinced that Margaret's spirit would seek revenge. Seeing Amanda's photo in the paper, he knew she had returned. He hired Doug, an actor, to separate Mike and Amanda and distract Amanda while he waited to kill her. Inga apologizes for her role in Margaret's death, giving Mike the anklet. After Mike leaves to find Amanda, Frankie Madison smothers Inga with a pillow. Mike tries to tell Amanda the truth. Terrified, she shoots him. Madsen arrives and reveals that he is Frankie. Amanda tries to shoot him as well, but the gun jams and he knocks her out. He puts the scissors he used to kill Margaret in Mike's hand and tries to make it look like Amanda killed him and committed suicide. Mike revives and stabs Madsen in the leg with the scissors. In the ensuing struggle, Mike grabs a gun from Madsen. Dugan arrives, misconstrues the scene, and tackles Mike. As Madsen reaches for the dropped pistol, Amanda stabs him in the back with the scissors. In a rage, Madsen pulls the scissors out and charges at Mike, but he quickly positions Amanda's scissors sculpture so that Madsen impales himself. A closing montage shows Mike and Amanda embracing, superimposed over Margaret and Roman in happier times. Alright, on tomorrow, we will be doing the Hunt for Red October 1990 film. Here's a plot in this film. In November 1984, Soviet submarine captain Marco Remius is given command of Red October, a new Typhoon-class nuclear missile submarine with a stealth caterpillar drive, rendering it undetectable to passive sonar. Remius leaves port to conduct exercises along with Alpha-class submarine Konovalov, commanded by his former student Captain Topolev. Once at sea, Remius secretly kills political officer Ivan Putin and relays false orders that they are to conduct missile drills off America's east coast. At the same time, American attack submarine USS Dallas, tasked with identifying and shadowing Soviet subs as they leave port, detects Red October as it begins its mission, but immediately loses contact once the sub's caterpillar drive is engaged. The next morning, CIA analyst and former Marine Jack Marion, after consulting with Vice Admiral James Greer, briefs government officials on Red October and the threat it poses after learning that the bulk of the Soviet Navy has been deployed at the Atlantic to find and sink the sub. They conclude that Remius plans his renegade nuclear strike. During the briefing, Ryan hypothesizes that Remius, a widower with few remaining personal ties to the Soviet Union, instead plans to defect to the United States. And National Security Advisor Jeffrey Pelt gives Ryan 3 days to confirm his theory. He is sent to an aircraft carrier in the mid-Atlantic. Meanwhile, after a sudden delay, Tupolev also receives orders to intercept and destroy Red October. Due to an unknown saboteur's actions, Red October's caterpillar drive malfunctions during risky maneuvers through a narrow undersea canyon. Petty Officer Jones, a sonar technician on board Dallas, has discovered the way to detect Red October using his underwater acoustics software, and Dallas plots their own intercept course after a hazardous mid-ocean transfer. Orion is unable to board Dallas, where he attempts to persuade its captain, Commander Bart Mancuso, to contact Remius and determine his exact intentions. The Soviet ambassador informs the U.S. government that Remius is a renegade and asks for help in not sinking Red October. That order is sent to the U.S. fleet, including Dallas, which has found in the Soviet sub. Ryan, however, is convinced that Remius plans to defect with his officers and finally convinces Mancuso to contact Remius and offer assistance. Remius, stunned that the Americans apparently guessed his plan, accepts. He then stages a nuclear reactor emergency, ordering his crew to go on deck and abandon ship. After a U.S. frigate is spotted heading right for them, Remius submerges, leaving his crew in life rafts. Meanwhile, underwater, Ryan, Mancuso, and Jones come aboard via a rescue sub, at which point Remius requests asylum for himself and his officers. Red October is suddenly attacked by V.K. Konovalov. As the two Soviet subs maneuver, one of Red October's cooks, Loginov, and an undercover GRU agent and the secret saboteur opens fire on the bridge, fatally wounding First Officer Vasily Borodin before retreating to the nuclear missile bay. Ryan and Remius pursue him. The Loginov wounds Remius in the shoulder, but Ryan kills Loginov before he can ignite the missile engine. Meanwhile, Red October makes its evasive maneuvers with a diversion provided by Dallas, causing V.K. Konovalov to be destroyed by its own fired torpedo. The crew of Red October, now rescued, watch the explosion from the U.S. frigate, unaware of the second Soviet submarine. They believe that Remius has sacrificed himself and scuttled Red October to avoid being boarded. Ryan and Remius, their subterfuge complete, then navigate Red October to the Penobscot River in Maine. Remius admits that he defected because after he was handed the plans for Red October, he quickly realized that the vessel's true purpose was to launch the unprovoked nuclear first strike against the United States, and concluded that he could never support such an action. From atop the submarine's sail deck, Remius, pleased to have made it safely to America, offers Ryan a quote from Christopher Columbus: "And the sea will grant each man new hope, as sleep brings dreams of home." Ryan nods in agreement and offers in return, "Welcome to the New World, sir." Alright, on Wednesday, we will be doing Night Shift 1982 film. Here's a plot in this film. Charles Chuck Lumley, formerly a successful stockbroker, has found a refuge from the ulcer-inducing Wall Street rat race In his job as an attendant at a New York City morgue, his displeasure at being promoted to night shift supervisor to make room for his boss, nephew Leonard, is exacerbated by the irrational exuberance of Bill Blazejowski, his new co-worker. They are inspired by the plight, plight of Chuck's prostitute neighbor Belinda to apply Chuck's financial acumen and Bill's entrepreneurial spirit to open a prostitution service headquartered at the morgue. Chuck falls in love with Belinda, but their relationship becomes complicated when Belinda refuses to quit prostitution. Chuck's passiveness keeps him from telling Belinda loves her. Meanwhile, Chuck and Bill's foray into the prostitution business draws the ire of ambiguous pimps who come to the morgue and threaten to kill Chuck. Bill inadvertently leads two undercover police officers to the morgue where Chuck is being assaulted by the pimps. A shootout ensues. Chuck and Bill are rescued, but are arrested for promoting prostitution because their arrest would be a political embarrassment. The two men are offered their old jobs back and the dismissal of all charges. Chuck accepts this, but Bill sees it as an opportunity to bargain with the mayor's office. Chuck and Bill fight and part ways. Chuck's fiancée, Charlotte, ends their engagement. Chuck sees Belinda in the hall of their apartment complex, but again fails to express his true feelings for her. Belinda leaves, and Chuck becomes angry with himself for being afraid. With renewed determination, Chuck finds Belinda working in an adult club and professes a love for her. He also finds Bill is employed there, apologizes for his harsh words, and assures Chuck and at the value of his creative ideas. The three leave the club together and go out on the town. Alright, on Thursday, we will be doing Space Jam, A New Legacy by Studio Distribution Services film, 2021 film. Here's a plot to this film. In 1998, a young LeBron James is dropped off at the youth league game by his mother. His friend Malik gives him a Game Boy on which LeBron plays until his coach persuades him to focus more on his skills after he misses a potential buzzer beater and is reprimanded by his coach. LeBron decides to follow his advice and discards the Game Boy. In the present day, LeBron aspires for his sons, Darius and Dominic, to pursue basketball careers, while LeBron's attempts with Darius are more progressive. Dom aspires to become a video game developer. LeBron, Malik, and Dom are later invited to Warner Brothers Studios to discuss a film deal. LeBron dismisses the idea while Dom isn't interested. In the studio's Warner 3000 software, particularly its AIG rhythm, their differing views lead to an argument as Dom reveals his resentment towards LeBron's aspirations. AIG, who has become self-aware, lures them to the basement server room and traps them in the Warner Brothers serververse. Taking Dom prisoner, AIG orders LeBron to form a basketball team to compete against his will, only earning his freedom if he wins, and sends him through the serververse to Toon World. LeBron finds Toon World abandoned except for Bugs Bunny, who explains that AIG persuaded for the other Looney Tunes to leave their world and explore the other realities. Using Marvin's spacecraft, the two travel to various worlds to locate and recruit the other Looney Tunes to form the Toon Squad. Meanwhile, AIG persuades Dom to allow his help in upgrading himself in this game, which AIG intends to use against LeBron. In Toon World, LeBron initially insists on teaching the Toon Squad the fundamentals of basketball. They encounter AIG's team, the Goon Squad, comprised com- comprised of avatars of basketball players and led by Dom. AIG live streams the game and abducts several viewers, including LeBron's family, into the virtual reality as other inhabitants of the serververse arrive. AIG threatens to delete the Looney Tunes and imprison the real-world spectators permanently if the Goon Squad win. The Goon Squad easily lead the first half, using their powers to score extra points. LeBron realizes his mistake and allows Bugs to devise a strategy using cartoon physics to improve in the second half. During the timeout, LeBron apologizes to Dom, who forgives him and joins the Toon Squad. AIG assumes control of the Goon Squad and uses his abilities to subsequently strengthen them, recalling a glitch in Dom's game wherein a character is deleted after a specific move is imputed. LeBron volunteers to perform the move, but Bugs does not instead sacrificing himself in the process. LeBron scores the winning point with Dom's help, deleting AIG and the Goon Squad. The Silververse spectators are returned to their respective worlds, and LeBron's family and the other werewolf spectators are returned to Earth as Bugs parts with his friends before he is deleted. 1 week later, LeBron supporting Dom's wishes, allowing him to attend the E3 game design camp. He subsequently reunites with Bugs, who reveals that his cartoon physics allowed him to regenerate and that his friends have entered Earth as well. LeBron allows the Looney Tunes to stay with him until they can return to Toon World. Alright. I need to see, what did I say? On Friday, we will be doing the Time Machine 2002 film. Here's the plot in this film. In 1899, Dr. Alexander Hartgegen is an inventor teaching at Columbia University in New York City. Unlike his friend David Philby, Alexander would rather do pure research than work in the world of business. After a mugger kills his fiancée Emma, he devotes himself to building a time machine that will allow him to travel back in time to save her. When he completes the machine 4 years later, he travels back to 1899 and prevents her murder, only to see her killed again and again when a horseless carriage frightens the horses of the horse-drawn vehicle. Alexander realizes that any attempt to save Emma will result in her death through other circumstances. Distraught, Alexander travels to 2030 to discover whether science has been able to solve his question of how to change the past. At the New York Public Library, a holographic librarian called Box 114 insists that time travel to the past is impossible. Alexander travels to 2037 when the accidental destruction of the moon by lunar colonists has begun rendering the Earth virtually uninhabitable. While restarting the time machine to avoid debris, he is knocked unconscious and travels to the year 2701 before reawakening. The human race was reverted to a primitive lifestyle and the Earth has healed. Some survivors called Eloy, life lived on the sides of cliffs of what was once Manhattan. Alexander is nursed back to health by a woman named Mara, one of the few Eloy who speak English. He observes the broken moon and suggests that maybe his teachings led to his future. One night, Alexander and Mara's young brother, Callum, dream of a frightening, jagged-toothed face and a creature calling their name. Alexander informs Mara of the dream, and she tells him they all have that dream. Then she notices that his watch is missing. The next day, the Eloi are attacked and Mara is dragged on the ground by ape-like monsters. The creatures are called Morlocks, and they hunt for the Eloi for food. In order to rescue her, Callan leads Alexander to box 114, which is still functional after 800,000 years. After learning from Vox how to find the Morlocks, Alexander enters their underground lair through an opening that resembles the face of his nightmare. He is captured and thrown into an area where Mara sits in the cage. Alexander meets an intelligent humanoid Morlock who explains that Morlocks are the evolutionary descendants of the humans who went underground after the moon broke apart, while the Eloi are evolved from those who remained on the surface. The humanoid Morlocks are a castle of telepaths who rule the other Morlocks. The Morlock explains that Alexander cannot alter Emma's fate because her death is what drove him to build the time machine in the first place. Saving her would be a virtual impossibility due to temporal paradox. When he then reveals that the Morlocks have brought the time machine underground, and tells Alexander to get into it and return home. Alexander gets into the machine, but pulls the Morlock in with him, carrying them into the future as they fight. The Morlock dies by rapidly aging when Alexander pushes him outside of the machine's temporal bubble. Alexander stops in the year 635,000,427,810, revealing a harsh, rust-colored sky over the wasteland of Morlock Caves. Accepting that he cannot save Emma, Alexander travels back to rescue Mara. After freeing her, he starts the time machine and jams its gears, creating a violent distortion in time. Pursued by the Morlocks, Alexander and Mara escape to the surface as the time distortion explodes, killing the Morlocks and destroying their caves. Along with the time machine, Alexander begins a new life with Mara and the Eloi. In 1903, Philby and Mrs. Ratchet, Alexander's housekeeper, are in his laboratory discussing his absence. Philby tells Mrs. Watchet he is glad that Alexander has gone to a place where he can find peace. Then tells her that he would like to hire her as a housekeeper, which she accepts until Alexander returns. Mrs. Watchet bids Alexander farewell and Philby leaves, looking toward the laboratory affectionately, then throws his bowler hat away in tribute to Alexander's distaste for conformity. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing What Lies Beneath 2000 film. Here's a plot in this film. Former cellist Claire Spencer and her husband Norman, an accomplished scientist and professor, live a quiet life in Vermont. Their relationship seems slightly strained, particularly after Claire's daughter, Caitlin, leaves for college. Claire notices that new neighbors, Mary and Warren Fear, appear to have a volatile relationship after Mary is unseen for several days. Claire suspects Morin may have killed her. While by the lake up next to their house, Claire believes she sees a woman's body in the water. She later discovers an odd key inside a heater vent. After unusual occurrences and sensing a presence in the house, Claire and her mystic friend Jody hold a failed seance. Claire later finds the bathtub filled with hot water and, you know, written on the steamy mirror, Claire's computer inexplicably inexplicably types MEF. Repeatedly, Claire becomes convinced it is the missing Mary's spirit, but Norman discounts this. Several days later, Mary returns home alive and well, explaining she went to her mother's in Rhode Island after a fight with Warren. A framed newspaper article about Norman mysteriously falls off his desk and shatters. One on the article's reverse side, Claire reads a piece about the missing woman named Madison Elizabeth Frank. Madison's initials are Mia MEF. Claire tracks down and visits Madison's mother, who shows her Madison's bedroom. While there, Claire steals a lock of Madison's hair and notices a photo of her wearing an unusual necklace. Later that night, Claire, holding Madison's hair, performs a ritual from a book. She conjures Madison, whose spirit possesses her. While still possesses, Claire aggressively seduces Norman. Madison, speaking through Claire, shocks Norman. Claire, dropping the locket of hair, immediately becomes herself again. She then recalls a repressed memory about Norman's affair with a student. Norman admits it happened during a rough patch in their marriage. Claire leaves and spends the night with Jody, who reveals that a year earlier she saw Norman arguing with a blonde woman at a cafe in Edmond, a nearby town. Claire returns home and finds Norman unconscious in the tub. He seemingly recovers and claims that it was an accident and not suicide attempt. He denies killing Madison. Norman later finds Claire standing on the lake dock. Claire, holding Madison's hairlock, is pulled into the water by an unseen force, dragged to the bottom. She sees a jewelry box with the same symbol as Madison's necklace before she can grab it. Norman has jumped in and pulls her onto the surface. They then burn the lock of hair. Claire later visits a shop and Edmond. Claire sees a jewelry box with the same design on as the one on the lake. Claire recovers the box from the lake and unlocks it with a key which she previously found. Inside is Madison's necklace. Norman changes his story. Claiming Madison killed herself in their house, he says he pushed her car into the lake with her body inside. Norman agrees to confess the authorities, but Claire discovers they dialed 411 and faked the conversation. Norman paralyzes Claire with holothane and admits he murdered Madison when she threatened to expose their affair. Norman places Claire in the bathtub, filling it with water to stage her suicide. He spots Madison's necklace around Claire's neck. When Claire's face seems to contort into Madison's corpse, Norman jerks back and smashes his head on the bathroom sink, rendering him conscious. As the water level rises, Claire recovers enough from the paralysis to partially close up the tap and then dislodge the stopper. Barely surviving drowning, Norman has left the bathroom and she finds him seemingly unconscious downstairs. She flees in the couple's truck as she crosses the bridge over Lake Champlain. Norman, hiding on the truck bed, attacks Claire, who frantically dials 911 on her cell phone. The truck careens down an embankment into the lake. As it sinks, it dislodges Madison's car. Madison's corpse floats toward the couple as Norman tries to drown Claire. Madison grabs Norman's arm, shocking him, which allows Claire to escape. Norman drowns and Madison's corpse drifts away. Later that winter, Claire places a red rose on Madison's grave. Alright, that's all the home video releases we got. So, on second, we will be doing Tari Tari episode 6. Yeah, it's called Tuesdays Over Home Video Releases on YouTube. So, here's a plot in this, laughing and remembering. As Wakana comes down with a cold, Konatsu decides to pay her a visit, reminding Wakana on her promise with Mahiru to write a song together. Later, Wakana receives a tape from Chiho containing a recording of when Mahiru was in the choir club before Sawa takes her horse riding. The next day, Wakana helps Taichi and Natsuhiro with their vocal training before visiting Tomoko with her new baby. Later that day, Wakana learns from her father why Mahiru kept her illness a secret from her because she didn't want the song they wrote together to be a sad one. As Wakana laments how she allegedly threw away her mother's feelings, her father gives Wakana some sheet music Mahiru wrote before she died so that she can finish it herself. Admitting he never sold the piano, as Wakana listens to the tape the next day, she rekindles her own love with singing and joins the rest of the club in the song. Alright, that's a little TV series on home releases we got. So, on third, we will be doing Emma Monkey Pictures and Roman Cow Productions and Donkey Teeth Company shorts. It is about Tom and Jerry. It's called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Mouse. Jekyll and Mr. Mouse in 1947. In summary, Tom tries to prevent Jerry from drinking his milk by poisoning it, but his plan completely backfires when the poison transforms Jerry into a monster. Alright. That's all the shorts we got. So fourth, we will be doing Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus 5G series. It is about Mei, who tries to convince Kaidi to be sick, but Kaidi had a cold after Mei visits her house in Kamihama. She discontinued her work on poems, so she decides to, with Tsukio and Sana and Mifio, to visit Kaidi's house. So Kaidi was sick in the cold after she remembers of her sickness is being illness, not COVID-19. She maybe inadvertently goes to Lowe's College to do her homework, and then she realizes Kaide was at her dream whenever she visits Reina Minami that Kaide was missing, and then she go visits Kaide, and she was gone. She was feeling better now, so Kaide was really turning to Kamihama affiliated university, and then Mimi goes back to Lowe's College herself with Sana Futaba, Tsukiyomane, and Mifio Asusa. Alright, that's all I got for today. Let's do some work now. Hey, what's that girl name? Oh, it's Kaoruko Yanagita. Hello, Kaoruko Yanagita. Hi. Nice to meet you. My name is Makoto Spartari. Nice to meet you too, Makoto Spartari. And this is all your friends, right? Yep, those are all my friends. Yeah, I know their names. You know their names? Yep, they're all of them. I see. So, yeah. Anyway, Kaoruko Yanagita. Yes? Would you like to come with me to Disney's Hollywood Studios to go through any other restaurants and shopping? Yep. Okay. We'll just turn off anyway, okay? Okay. Good.